It's a beautiful Thursday morning here in Lagos. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the program. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. Now, the journey to reviewing the national minimum wage has been nothing short of tedious. Of course, the particular review was due in 2015 at the inception of this administration. But then the tripartite committee did not reconvene until last year after it was suspended indefinitely. Remember the threat of strike and indeed the warning strike by the labor union to make that possible. Then a figure was arrived at, or maybe we should call it a controversial one. While the labor unions mentioned 30,000, the federal government kept mum for a while, and state governors insisted they could not pay more than 22,500 naira. We've seen the tripartite committee's figure move from the Federal Executive Council to the National Economic Council. Recently, the National Council of State deliberated over it and came up with 27,000 naira. Now, labor unions are not having that. They are contesting the authority of the Council of State to change a figure that has already been deliberated upon by the tripartite committee. So it's a very interesting one. Just yesterday, the federal government transmitted the bill to the National Assembly, keeping its promise. But the question still remains whether we're going to see a speedy implementation or passage of this bill at a time where the Senate earlier this week could not form a quorum. Let me introduce my guest to you very quickly as we talk about this interesting development. Mr. Eti-Osa is National Coordinator of Democracy Vanguard. Good morning and thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Glad to have you come. Many have described this as a long walk to freedom, given the back and forth that we've experienced in previous years. Now, the issue of having it go through all those long process, is it not a poor precedent to subsequent review?
Well, let me start by saying that the tedious process was unnecessary if we had a pro-workers government in place, because this is a constitutional issue. Minimum wage is not just a defined order. No, it's about wages of workers and should be reviewed every 5 years according to the cost of living so that it can enhance the standard of living of the working people.
That's right.
So invariably, workers have no need to even protest or even remind the government that do your duty. This should have been done about 3 or 4 years ago, which has been done now. And workers should know that when you have a pro-capitalist government in power, a pro-rich government in power, over the years, it has been, including this government, there's nothing you can get without struggle. And this is a typical example. You can see the tedious exercise, struggles there, protests there and there, which should not have been, because you don't see governors or senators protesting on their salaries. You don't see president and vice president protesting, or commissioners or ministers protesting. So it shows the class distinction of the system we are running, which is pro-capitalist. So in that wise, I want to say that the working class should appreciate the enormous power, capacity of their power to make government to see reason why they should not subject them permanently to poverty.
Well, the tripartite committee sent its decision to the president last year. Many were hopeful that, well, we're almost there. But then we've seen it go through the FEC, the NEC. Many people are asking precisely the statutory role of the National Council of State, which should be advisory. So we're asking whether did it recommend, did it propose, or did it approve that particular figure?
Well, let me start by saying that National Council of State is a medicine interloper on this issue. At best, they are advisory, perhaps Council of the Elders, whose advice can be taken or not. But I suspect that it's part of these excuses, passing the buck, that Mr. President has been known for, to have even gone to the Council of State. He should have just informed them that, well, we have agreed, because there was and there is and understanding, a tripartite committee has agreed. So Mr. President himself even said he was to transmit. You know, the Labour wanted to go on strike, which I thought they should have gone. Because if they have gone, all these things will not happen.
You're saying that Mr. President should just have submitted the decision to the
He
NCS?
should not even submit, he will just inform them, because they have no business with it. Is the National Council of State sitting on budget? Are they sitting on the salaries of president, legislature, or judiciary? Why sitting on salary of workers? They don't have the business. Honestly, when I heard that Mr. President was to discuss it there, honestly, I thought Mr. President was to advise members of the National Council of States to donate 50 billion each to the national economy, so that in case there's any problem, they can run that to pay, because we know their weight. And these are people, maybe perhaps except Baba Shonekon, who was not able to taste the soup, you know, because it was hot. So in that wise, I thought that was what the president was to do.
You're saying that these individuals have the capacity to
we all know
release the
now,
amount of money you're talking about.
You know,
It's
some
all
of them
right.
are richer than their states.
Let's try to understand what the figures are right now. 27,000 naira, 3K short of the 30,000 naira Labour was talking about. But the federal government says it's going to add 3,000 naira. It has instructed states to add as much as they want to, as long as they're not paying lesser than 27,000 naira. Now, some have called this a compromise because governors earlier wanted 22,500.
In the first instance, minimum wage is standard. You can pay more. States can pay more, because you cannot pay differential minimum wage in this country. It is even constitutional in the first instance. And again, it's antisocial. So if a worker that lives in Lagos and a worker that lives in Oyo State, the same time, the same work rate, is having different minimum wage. Except government is saying that there will be markets for those who are earning 27,000 minimum wage, and market for those who are earning 30,000, and of course, schools. Then you can start thinking maybe reasoning along the line. But in this case, it is even a constitutional issue. Let's have a standard minimum wage. Then any state that is rich, can say, well, I'm paying more than that.
Are we looking at this relative to the standard of living vis-a-vis the cost of living across the state? Bearing in mind that as we speak right now, there are even some states that cannot afford the 18,900.
There is no state that cannot afford anything.
But that have not been paying.
Because they don't want to pay. Have you heard of any governor or Mr. President that is so broke that cannot go abroad for treatment, medical treatment? Or have you seen the convoys reducing? I mean, I've been around for some time. When they talk of low profile, you can see the head of state and co riding on 504. But today, what do we have? In fact, if we have, distribution of wealth according to how it should be, because those who produce wealth should be the priority, we will not have all this problem. Now we have senators, governors, president, minister, earning jumbo salaries and allowances. And of course, PAs, SAs, SSSA, PPPA, and what have you. So in that wise, why you still have...
You're saying if government can cut down with expenses,
exactly.
they can afford this
and of
figure.
Course, return part of the weight, share the weight back to the economy. That's why we say, declare your asset publicly, so that we know what you are worth. This idea of...
this issue of asset declaration,
yes.
It's putting everybody in trouble now. We still have one currently with the CCT. The challenge with it is that the procedures seem to becloud the substance. Each time it comes up at the CCT. In 2015 with the Senate President, it was about the charges that was brought against him. So nobody really seemed to have seen, a real process of knowing how much a politician has before and after office.
We don't even need all those boju asset declaration. Because all they say is that declare confidentially, then put it somewhere like a secret court, put it in the cupboard. Anybody who wants to come and do it will start process of freedom of information, which cannot even... In fact, a lot of people have gone to do that. And they will tell you, no, it's not done. Let them declare those assets publicly.
It's all right.
Where they will tell you that the Constitution does not say that, but the same Constitution does not say don't declare it publicly, because we are talking of public morality. If you cannot declare your asset publicly, you have no business.
Let's consider the options open to Labour right now. First, that is if Labour is unanimous in its decision, because the moment the NCS approved or proposed that particular or proposed that particular
figure, they don't have
figure,
power to propose.
the NLC and the TUC in Bayelsa State reportedly had praised that decision. So we might have to wait till Friday to see what way forward for Labour. But what options do you see ahead of them? Do you foresee a national strike?
Honestly, that national strike is long overdue.
Is it worth it for 3,000 naira?
No, you see, the first thing is it's not even the 2730 that is illegal. Even having it this time, where you know that the inflation rate, school fees, rent, transport, all have jumped up.
But they agreed for 30,000 naira. The tripartite committee, according to Labour,
30,000. What I'm saying is, even that 30,000 is because they thought, well, let's negotiate and, of course, go ahead to put pressure further in years to come. But even at that 30,000 naira, we have state governments that can pay higher, because we know what is happening in Nigeria. If somebody can be accused and in court of stealing 50 billion and the nation did not go broke, then you know what is happening. The country is extensively rich. I don't believe all those tales. It's been tales over the years. Have we ever had, since 1999, a government saying, oh, we are rich, workers come and take money? No, they're always saying it. Perhaps except Idoji Award, the government came out and said, okay, let's put on. They have never done that. So government will always be rich, be poor, while government people continue to be rich.
So yesterday, the federal government transmitted the executive bill to the National Assembly. There are people who are saying now that not much can be done before elections. Earlier this week, the Senate could not even form quorum, and they are probably going on a short break today.
No, it can be done.
How?
Yes, they reconvene. Are they saying that if there is invasion in Nigeria today, they are not going to reconvene? That is not a problem. To reconvene is so easy. Within 48 hours, they reconvene and pass 30,000 minimum wage.
I'm hearing that there might still be a public hearing. I don't know what the process really is. But let's take this call from Ikeja. Good morning, George.
Good morning, Nifemi, and good morning to your guest.
Good morning.
Nifemi, your guest said something that elicited my interest. He said, we do not have a pro-workers government. We don't need a pro-workers government. We need a pro-people government. The workers, the government workers are not the only people that the economy is meant for. The ordinary woman in the market, along the road, the organizers, they are all people. The government cannot spend all it has to pay the government workers. Be that as it may, when an approving authority is structured, such as the National Council of States, if this issue is bid to pass through National Council of States, it also implies that the National Council of States, before approving it, should make an input. And if this is the input they have made, why is it becoming an issue that it is supposed to be, they should have just rubber stamped it? By the way, the National Council of States approved 30,000 for the federal government workers. It is only the state. Your guest must remember that many of the governors didn't even want this increase to work.
It's all right. I think you made your point, Judge. Thank you very much for calling in. But I'm not sure the NCS approved 30. They approved 27,000. It was the federal government that, decided to add 3,000 for its
Let me
workers.
say, when I talk of pro-workers government, it encompasses even those who are workers in informal sector.
All right.
Anybody that sells his labor to earn living is a worker. When you say working class government, it encompasses, includes conductors and drivers, because these are workers. They wake up every day to sell their labor to earn living. And of course, the gentleman just got it wrong. The National Council of State could have made the advice known at the process of discussion
I want
and
us to move
negotiation.
forward very quickly. So you're saying you're optimistic that there could be a speedy passage before the election?
If there's an invasion in Nigeria today, you discover that decided to beat. Are they staying in?
Can the National Assembly add the 3,000 naira that is missing?
The National Assembly should just pass 30,000 minimum wage, and any governor that cannot pay should resign, should go.
Good morning, Okorafo from Arochukwu. How are you today?
Good morning, sir. Good morning, our guests in the studio.
Good morning.
Honestly speaking, our guest, my brother, Nifemi, you see, to me, the National Council of States did not wish us well because they are part and parcel of leaders in this country. They know what we faced in those days. When, as a graduate, when you finish university, you secure a job. And they know what is got. If a solid foundation were laid that with solid materials in those days, Nigeria will not be facing all these problems. Now look at what is happening. Look at a bag of rice. How much is it? Now look at they say any school fees in Nigeria today that you will pay 3,000 or 3,000. No, it's not possible. And the same federal government are telling us that science students that they will give them their trust funds and they will be paying 500,000 and others will be paying 300,000. Is it obtainable? It's not obtainable. Is it with this 27,000 naira they went to approve this? I don't know to do that. It's wrong. Even the 30,000 naira they is demanded is something to write them apart. Now, what I'm saying to Nigeria is this. The Labour and the federal government, they should decide that's what they are. Because 30,000 naira is nothing to write home apart. There is no house rent that is 300 naira a month. Because they said our elders are not, they are not wishing us well. As far as Nigeria is concerned. Because if they are wishing us well, I was expecting to go and say, increase the money. So, any governor that cannot pay above 30,000 naira, let that governor decide. People should not go for such governor. Thank you very much. Have a blessed day in Lagos.
Glad to have you on the program. Thank you very much, Okorafo. Well, unfortunately, now the National Assembly has to decide before elections, and then I'm beginning to wonder how decisions can be made before election if this is not passed and if the money is not paid. Do you understand what I mean precisely?
The National Assembly can reconvene any time. That is not a big issue. If they say they should come and take 2 billion allowance for February, won't they reconvene? That they need to do that. And let me also tell you that minimum wage become a problem because social facilities have collapsed. Public schools have collapsed. Even those who are minimum wage today, they take their children to all these beside Gotha International Primary and Nursery School and pay because I went to public school from my primary to secondary to polytechnic to university. So my parents would not have been under burden of paying school fees as high as this. So you can imagine, even those who are going to collect minimum wage cannot even take them for that 30 days. That's the truth.
Let's take this call from Ogun State. Good morning, Joshua.
Good morning, Nifemi, and good morning to your guest. I want to add this, boys. I think certain practices in Nigeria are outdated. And the more we try to push through them, the more we find out that we're just chasing shadows. Labor can go on strike, ASU can go on strike, everybody goes on strike. I subscribe to the first caller. The nation, the people are above everyone. The percentage of workers in Nigeria can determine an economy, cannot determine how much of money Nigeria has or what money should be paid to workers. There are issues that are very, very germane in this matter, and I want to tell whoever is in labor and your guest, even if you fix 50 or 70,000 tomorrow, you will need to increase it by 100,000 the next, because prices are going to go up. You see, the issue of minimum wage, of course, should be minimum for workers. But the point is this. What is the desirable system that we need to run that can sustain everybody, not some selfish workers? The point is very, very important now for us to discuss
among ourselves, how are we willing to go?
It's all right. I think you made your point precisely, Joshua. Thank you very much for calling. Let me just quickly take you back to your earlier comment. It brings us to the question of course, it's important to review, the wage after every 4 or 5 years. But what is also very important are the issues you have raised earlier. Access to education, for instance. So no matter how much you pay a worker, if you still have to go to private schools to get quality education, you may need to keep asking for more. Exactly. Good roads, power,
housing,
access to good quality health care.
Exactly.
Is Labour also turning its attention to these?
They just have to.
Making government accountable?
They are. For those who have this erroneous impression that the percentage of workers, the former workers, is so low, so they are wrong. I'll give you an instance. Apart from the multiplier
government
effect,
said it's just 5%.
The multiplier effect is so great. When I was in Ife, anytime workers, the campus, ASU or NASU or SANU, go on strike, the Ife people feel it more. Bosses,
because of the
market
local
people.
economy.
So exactly, because these are the workers that spend money, and to every worker, there are dependents. That's what people don't know.
So if they get more pay, the local economy is also going to feel it.
The economy is not working into the interest of the poor. Now, you don't have a working class that is so comfortable, good enough, to be best productive. Because even in the process of debating minimum wage, working class leadership also discussed the need to increase productivity by making enhanced.
Let me take Okwara's call from Victoria Island. Good morning, Okwara. Are you there, Okwara? Hello? All right, I might have to get back to that. You were talking about...
Yeah, so invariably, you have to look at the multiplier effect of those so-called little percentage of the working class, because they continue...
And the impact they have on the
impact
economy.
Others. And of course, people forgot that the same governors never discussed minimum wage at all, because what goes for workers, they're also workers. In fact, they are workers on contract. Don't forget, they take 100% of what they are earning when they leave office. 100% medical. So they are workers. In fact, they are casual workers on contract for 8 years, and see what they're earning.
So it is one thing to pass this into law, but implementation is a totally different ballgame, given the experience we've had in the past years. I'm wondering how Labour, looks forward to enforce this implementation aftermath of the passage at the National Assembly.
Luckily, it falls into the election period. Democracy is not only voting.
Let me just hold you for a minute to take this call from our career. Good morning, Reverend Larry.
Reverend, good morning.
Good morning.
What I want to contribute is that for the minimum wage, let the labor accept it like that, because through grass fighting, there's no way how the graduates will suffer. Since they will be subjected to review for 5 years, and the federal government says it can, though the standard is 27,000, but they are putting 3,000. Now, let them still manage it like that. Later, they will now review it later. So for the labor going to another strike or this thing, I don't think it's meaningless. Please, let the labor just accept it like that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Reverend Larry, for your contribution. Does it not make sense that we'll just take it like that? I mean, why should we go on strike over 3,000?
Well, I was saying that. You said how they're going to implement.
Yes, the implementation.
Exactly. Luckily, we are in electoral period. Workers may not immediately go on strike if they feel they don't have the strength. But however, the thumb can be the power.
So how do you know governors that are not going to pay? Even when
it's where you don't get alert.
No, I'm saying that what if the bill is not passed before elections? Yakub is calling in from Lagos. Good morning, Yakub.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning, Nifemi, and then good morning to your guest.
You have 30 seconds.
I think the major problem that we have in this country is our governors. You see, this minimum wage of thing that we are talking about, the president and then the federal government says that they were ready to pay that 30,000 naira minimum wage. But the people, the governors who were in fact, those governors were the people that putting pressure on Mr. President for them to reduce that 30,000 to 27,000. But I will blame Labour here. When a station where a governor serving for 8 years or 4 years as case may be, and then the governor is leaving the office, and then he's having one house in Lagos or as case may be in Abuja, he has one house in the Port Harcourt, and then months and months of money paying to that very particular governor, and then the Labour is nothing wrong about it. They did not protest about it. And then they will not say, they will not protest about just 30,000 naira.
Thank you very much, Yakub, for your contribution. We have to go now. You talked about the power of the ballot. I'm not sure the Labour, population seem to have taken huge advantage of that. There's a Labour Party, for instance, that is not fielding any candidate in this election because how, they have decided to run
sorry to
the
say,
inter-party system.
That is not an analogical Labour Party of our vision. That is just, we all see
but the
that,
last time they said the certificate is with the NLC.
We know the kind of bourgeois elements that are running that party, so that cannot be. But even on the basis of mere campaign, that if your governor cannot pay, vote him out. If anybody is not, and mark you can see the unity of the ruling class, PDP, APC, and co. You can see their unity against the workers. None of them is saying, I'm going to pay, even no party, none of the parties have issued a statement to say we can pay or the government should pay. They keep quiet. So I just pity their followers who fight themselves unnecessarily when they are united against the
Imam
working class.
Dawu is calling us from Lafiaji. Good morning. Hello, are you there? Imam Kawu.
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. You have 30 seconds. Go ahead with the contribution.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. How are you, sir?
Terrific. Go ahead with the contribution.
Thank you. I think my advice is that the Labour should just, take. Yes, I said my advice goes the same as the previous, the last caller. I think the Labour should just accept the 27,000 naira minimum wage.
I think you made your point very clearly that Labour should just take it and then let everybody rest.
It's wrong.
What are your final thoughts on this issue?
My final thought is that Labour should struggle to make sure that 30,000 minimum wage is paid. And those who are talking of differential minimum wage, let the governor
But they should lobby that at the National Assembly and not
yes,
go on
part
strike.
of it. And let those who talk about that, let the governors also start having differential minimum wage. Let the governor of Sokoto take something else, and let the governor of Lagos take something else. So we know that the government can pay, and they must pay.
Mr.
And they should be ready to pay more in future.
Soweto, National Coordinator, Democracy Vanguard, thank you very much for coming on the program
It's my
today.
pleasure. Thank you.
We'll take a break now. When we return, I'll be joined by an aspiring lawmaker in Lagos, Nigeria. And of course, we'll be talking about his aspirations and of course, its plan ahead of this election. Stay with us. Glad to have you join us again. I'm joined now by the African Action Congress candidate for the Lagos State House of Assembly, Eti-Osa Constituency 2, Dr. Afeez Ladi Lawal. Good morning and thanks for coming on the program.
Good morning. Thank you for having me here today.
Let's begin with your thoughts on this minimum wage palaver. How much do you think Lagos should be paying its workers?
Yeah, to be honest with you, people have said that maybe 27,000 or something like that. But I think this is not the best time to discuss about that, Nifemi. I think I would prefer talking about my agenda and what I actually intend.
Your agenda should also be,
yes, because that is the most important thing. You see what I'm
how
saying?
much you want the people in your constituents to be paid.
Yeah.
Some of them are public workers, civil servants.
Nifemi, let me tell you something. The candidate for AAC, whose name is Omoyele Sowore, has extensively discussed about this before. So I don't think we should talk about that today.
I still think, I don't want us to start on an
okay, I will say,
Mm.
let me tell you something, Nifemi. The Omoyele has said several times that we are going to pay 100,000 minimum wage.
Are you going to move that at the Lagos State House of Assembly?
Pardon?
Are you going to move that
Definitely,
motion at the
because
Lagos
it's
State House
part of our agenda. So there is no way, I mean, I'm going to do that because it's part of our agenda. We've got to stick to it. Nifemi, it's very, very paramount to us.
It's
So,
all right.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
let's turn our attention to Eti-Osa 2 constituency. Let's begin with knowing you and meeting you. So you wanted to get into politics since when you were a teenager in college.
Yeah.
You were part of the student union government of UNILAG.
Thank you.
And you have a passion for social justice and solving problems.
Yes.
How much of a political experience do you have?
Thank you for that. I actually did my primary school, secondary school in Lagos Island, and I got admission into University of Lagos. From there, I moved to College of Medicine, University of Lagos. And during that period, or during that era, I was the chief whip of the University of Lagos Student Union. And I can tell you this, during that period, I happened to be the first person to bring parliamentary sitting to College of Medicine, and it has never happened before. And that is a great achievement for me.
Parliamentary what?
Sitting.
Okay.
Yeah.
To
the College of Medicine.
To the College of Medicine.
Yes, I'm a representative from College of Medicine to University of Lagos.
I'm wondering what they were doing before then. I mean, isn't there supposed to be a house, where representatives sit and all of that? So you studied physiotherapy.
Yeah, I did.
And I saw on Twitter that your party has been conducting several free medical healthcare programs ahead of this election. What have you discovered from all of these programs? Yeah,
thank you very much, Nifemi. That is a very good question. I've been conducting a series of medical screening in Eti-Osa 2 constituency where I'm coming out. And doing the medical screening, could you believe that we were able to identify some people who have diabetes and also hypertension, and they've told us that they've not even got the opportunity to do the medical screening. So it was a great opportunity for them to come out and do this medical test. And we were able to diagnose some people with diabetes and hypertension as well. And on the 26th of this month, we are having another medical screening, and we are going to provide them medication as well. So we are inviting some doctors from LUT to attend to them.
To what end is this screening? You diagnose a problem. Do you also offer to help them treat the illness?
Yeah, we have a doctor on ground who is going to do the medical test for them and also going to provide them the medication. Okay. So I will be on ground as well. I'm a physiotherapist, so my own role is going to be more of attending to people who have been having ongoing chronic or ongoing low back pain. So there's a program tomorrow which is on educating people about HIV, how to prevent HIV, and what are the things they should know.
So as a physiotherapist, how much of that are you looking forward to bring to bear on your representation for the people of Eti-Osa Constituency 2?
In terms of what?
As a lawmaker, in case you win the election.
I mean, I've got two agendas, which is very, very important to me. The first thing is how to reduce unemployment rate in Lagos State. And if you look at the moment, the unemployment rate in Lagos State, I think is around 14.something%. And you see, there are a lot of youth out there, they are unemployed, they are very energetic, they are ready to work. But the government has said that there is no white-collar job out there, and they should look for an alternative. The VP, who is the current VP, said it twice, that there is no, the people should look for an alternative, so that to maintain themselves. But now what I intend to do, I've looked at some parameters. If you look at the Lagos state itself, they depend so much on taxes. And they depend so much on federal allocation. And that it is high time for us to think about other things we can do.
Does Lagos depend so much on federal allocation, given the huge internally generated revenue, perhaps the highest in the country?
I think
will it be accurate to say that Lagos still depends on federal allocation?
No, I won't say they depend, but they get federal allocation from the federal, which is around 178 billion naira. But my thinking now is this. We should look for an alternative. We should engage youth in agriculture.
Okay.
Now, if you look at Ikorodu, there is places like places in Ikorodu whereby many acres of land, the state government should allocate land to people so they can engage in agriculture. And also, the federal government can give them loan. It's not about going to the market and sharing money, giving money to people. It's about talking to people. It's about asking people their challenges. What are their challenges? What can we do to help them?
How precisely do you intend to do this as a lawmaker representing Eti-Osa?
Thank you very much. It's a matter of moving a strong motion at the floor of the House. It's a matter of pushing a bill that will address the problem, the challenges the poor masses are facing. It is high time for us to sit down and talk to ourselves. The inflation rate is high, unemployment rate is high. Even at the federal level, if you look at it, our debt is so high. As I'm talking to you now, the Lagos state, our debt is 1.4 trillion naira. So go and check it. So it is time for us to begin to think, to reason. The way we reason in clinical practice, that is what we call clinical reasoning. It's very, very tantamount to our practice.
So agriculture is your solution to Lagos unemployment?
It should be one of the solutions.
Which other solutions do you have?
There are many of them, to be honest with you. There are many of them, but the one I'm going to move or push for at the floor of the House, that is my first priority.
You must have heard the popular say that
the second one, sorry, Nifemi, the second one is this, before I forget, is people say that earth is wet.
That's right.
Now, if you look at the federal budgetary allocation for the health sector at the federal level, is less than 5%. That will never meet the needs of the poor masses. And if you look at the Lagos state, it's less than 10%. In 2001, what happened in Abuja? The African leaders, they met in 2001, and they agreed that they should push the budgetary allocation for health to 15%. As I'm talking to you now, Nigeria has never met that. And that is why you see we're having health issues, health problem in Nigeria. People are traveling to India to receive treatment because the federal government are not training the healthcare professionals to enable them to make appropriate diagnosis.
But you're not running for House of Reps, neither you're running for a senatorial seat. Yeah. So how many percentage are you looking forward to?
15%.
In Lagos?
15%.
And it's a motion that you're looking forward to?
Yes, I'm going to motion. And why I'm going to move for it is this. Let me tell you, in my own experience, one thing that will address, one of the things it's going to address is provision of free emergency ambulance.
But have you identified why governments across board have not been able to reach this benchmark of 15%?
Because of lack of management. There's mismanagement. Look at how much a senator is earning. This is one of the things I've been saying. I've said that many times, that we should cut down their salaries.
Are you also going to cut down the salary of the Lagos House of Assembly?
I mean, if it is possible, I'm going to push a motion for that.
Are you aware how much they currently earn?
That is a very good question, Nifemi. At the moment, even there is what we call constituency allowance. I don't know it. And how much each a senator earn, to be honest with you, I don't want to give you false information at the moment, because that is not even so important to me. What is so much important to me is to push for a bill that will address the challenges, the problems, the plight the poor masses are facing in Lagos. There are so many things, there are so many bills or motions that can be moved, but we need to prioritize them. We need to put things in order of importance.
Okay, so you talked about unemployment and provision of quality health care.
Yes.
Are these the two most important issues for your constituents?
Yeah, for now.
For now.
For now. And why the health is very important is this. Nifemi, there are a lot of people out there. People are dying from death that are affordable. For example, look at people who are asthmatic, hypertensive patients, people with epilepsy, if they have a new episode of symptoms that could take their life, there is no provision in terms of emergency for them. Look at the traffic in Lagos. Do you think it will be possible to take somebody from Eti-Osa to General Hospital? Considering the traffic, it's likely that person will lose his life. So what I'm trying to do now, if it is not possible for me, or the motion or the bill is not successful at the floor of the House, what I'm going to do, I will suffer an alternative to have an effective ambulance in our constituency. So what I'm trying to do now, there is going to be a procedure I'm going to exploit to address that. The first thing is to tell people that, okay, those who are asthmatic, those who are hypertensive, we are going to get their names.
Okay.
Give them number they are going to call. So whenever they have symptoms that can take their lives, they should call that number and ambulance will be with them. So
I hope that the ambulance doesn't get stranded in Lagos holdup.
No, within the Eti-Osa constituency, I think it's unlikely.
It's all right. So it's interesting, but then let's talk about your chances of winning in this election. How much of structures, does your party, for instance, has in your constituency, given the track record of the ruling party in that area?
Nifemi, that is a very good question. That is one thing about you. I like you. I mean, in times when you ask a good question most of the time. I'm going to tell you, I started my campaign in August 2018, and I've been hanging out poster here and there. And people started tearing my poster, removing my poster. As I'm talking to you right now, they are still doing the same thing. But I told my people... So
you're one of the politicians that have been defacing the Lagos community with your posters?
Yes.
Why? Don't you consider that to be, backward, so to speak? As beautiful as Lagos has become, should we still have posters on the walls?
Because
recall that there was a governor in
that
the
is one of the things we are saying, that the state government should provide provision for that. If they provide provision, there is no reason pasting poster on the walls. In a developed country, no way they usually do. Look at what APC is doing in Lagos. Look at some.
Are you saying that there are not agencies, like LASA, for instance, in Lagos, who oversee stuff like that? The first time I was in Lagos, I just saw a vehicle stop by and use this first pipe to bring down posters.
Let me go back to your question, Nifemi. Yes. Now, that's one of the challenges I've been facing.
To an extent, it's breaking
now,
the law.
What I'm doing now? You know what I'm doing now? I've told them not to tear any poster. What I'm doing now is this. I created a Facebook account. Okay. That was a few weeks ago. You know what is happening now? Dr. Afeez Lawal is there on the Facebook. Okay. I mean, over 10,000 people have flagged my page. And some people even put very good comment there. I believe that is another way of defeating the opposition.
We are going to get to your Facebook, but I just want us to, agree that pasting posters on walls is wrong.
I think it's wrong.
And I'm hoping that if you become a member of the House of Assembly, you're going to raise this issue up such that we don't live like we're in
I agree with you. I agree with you. Of course, I agree with you. There should be a provision for that.
You said some people have been tearing down your posters. Have you been able to identify who they are?
It's difficult. They usually do it in maybe midnight or odd hours.
But what are your chances of winning in this election?
My chances of winning, they are very, very high. I'm very optimistic.
Were people tearing your posters?
Pardon?
I said, were people tearing your posters?
When they tear it, you know what happened? Immediately, the same day or the next day, I asked my people to go and put more poster there because I have a spare poster on ground. So I don't want to do that to them. I don't want to tear their poster. I don't want anything that will bring violence.
That's right.
It's not good. So as I'm talking to you now, I still have over 1,000 posters, and I've created Facebook account, which is actually increasing my opportunities.
So if you have a lot of posters, that means that your campaign must have been well funded. Who is funding your campaign?
No, I'm funding it myself, to be honest with you. I'm also from friends. Look, for example, now, the medical screening we are having on the 26th, now, a friend of mine who is a pharmacist has provided us over 100 medication, amlodipine, for managing individuals with hypertension. These are the things we should be doing. You see? So, I mean, it is high time for the Lagosians to enjoy the dividends of democracy. The time has come, and we must change it. We must change the way people think. I'm not here. I mean, my campaign is not based on giving people rights or giving people money. No.
We'll get to that, but let's bring the viewers in on this conversation. Yakub is calling in from Dokwemo. Good morning, Yakub.
Good morning, once again. Good morning to your guests. I have one or two questions for your guests quickly. Number one, he talked about what APC is doing right now, that giving money to market women like 10,000 naira at case maybe is not the way to go. My question to your guests in the studio is that if you win the election and then you become Lagos State House of Assembly member, will you have alternatives to that kind of money? Because that money helps those pepper sellers and then those people that all what they are doing in that market is not worth 2,000 naira. And then they see somebody giving them 10,000 in order to build their business. If you have alternatives, tell us. Secondly, will you be able to declare how much you are taking as a Lagos State House of Assembly member, and then your constituency allowance, will you let us know publicly, this is the amount of money that I take as a salary, and then this is the constituency allowance amount I'm taking as a member. Thank you, God bless.
Thank you, Jacob. Let's begin with the first one. Let me guess, you will use the money for agriculture, right?
Which money?
Instead of distributing the traders' money.
Now, let me just answer his question. The first thing, that 10,000 will never solve their problems.
Okay.
You know, he's going to solve the problem for a few days or some hours. How much is 10,000? And that is why we are asking for increment in what? In a minimum wage. You see, it can't solve their problem. And there is a good way of doing that, but that is not the best way to do that. I mean, there is a better way of doing that. I'm not saying that they shouldn't give money to people, but I think it was dumb.
So which ways are you preferring now as an alternative to the current way with which the money
Okay,
is
because I'm representing my constituency, the first thing is to identify those who need the money. You know, that is why you see, when I did my master,
Isn't that what is being done now? The poorest of the poor.
No. You know, they went to the market. They went to the market with a test, with a note, and they started writing names out and everything that giving money to people in the market. But what I'm saying to you, Nifemi, is this: there is a better way of doing that. If you want to do a research, they will ask you to look for a gap in the literature. But and what are the approach you are going to exploit?
It's easy to rubbish this effort, but we've seen.
I'm not rubbishing it. No, Nifemi, I'm not rubbishing. What I'm saying.
Money is given to traders, real traders.
But what I'm saying that is
have also shown some feedback, some sort of appreciation for the money is given.
Yeah. Do you think that money was given to everybody in Lagos State? There are some people who are in the same problem, but that money was given in random.
Let me take this call from Ijayi very quickly, Doctor, and I'll be back with you. Good morning, David. Morning.
My name is David. I'm calling from Ijayi.
Glad to have you here. Please go ahead.
Yeah. I want to contribute, and my contribution is that on the posters, I heard you talking about your guest pasting posters all around Lagos. I think during the election period, all of them are doing it.
Are guilty of it.
General saying you go all over Lagos, everybody is doing it. So I don't think it would be fair to take on one person. I just think during this election period, the government allows it. That's my first point. And then the second one is your last caller that called was asking if the 10,000 that was being shared. You mentioned pepper sellers that their business is like 2,000 naira. It's not possible. That 10,000 naira is just a gift to people, in my own opinion. There is no. You talked about 2,000 naira pepper sellers. It's not possible to do pepper business with 2,000 naira. You go to the market, we know what this thing costs. Let's call a spade. That money is just a free gift to the people. Thank you.
In your opinion, David, thank you for sharing your contribution with us. Jacob also asked whether you'll be willing to tell Lagosians, if you win this election, how much you earn and, you know, your allowance.
Definitely, I'm going to tell my constituency, I'm going to make it public. There is no point hiding it. There's no point at all. Why? Is there any reason for that? There is no reason for that.
Well, I'm sure that that's just been recorded so that AKSU. But then there's also the, there's this story of asset declaration and all of that. Once you become a politician or a lawmaker, you have to fill some forms with the, the CCB. Will you also be willing to tell Nigerians right now how much you're worth?
At the moment.
At the moment.
No, I can't do that here at the moment.
Why wouldn't you want to do that?
No, this is not the right time to do it. There is an official document that I need to fill. Anyway, and when the time comes, I will do it.
But then, when you become a lawmaker, you'll be willing to tell us how much you earn.
Of course, I will.
But right now, you can't tell us how much you earn.
No.
Okay. Well, anyway, you're looking
when the time comes, definitely I will.
It's all right. Let's identify some of the issues now with the legislature. There is the, popular saying that legislatures in Nigeria have become a rubber stamp to the executive. So what we've seen across states are that members of the House of Assembly are mostly of the same political party with the state governor. Do you see anything wrong with this system?
I don't really see any, they won an election, and APC has dominated Lagos State. You see, so I think it's a very popular party in Lagos State, and I can also tell you as well that AAC is also popular. So it's also popular in Lagos State. The awareness is there everywhere.
Are you getting ready, in case you win, to be in the minority? They say minorities have their say, but
I won't consider myself as a minority. But you don't know why? Because when I get there, I'm going to move emotion or push for a bill that will change their mindset.
But you're not optimistic that AAC will be in the majority at the Lagos House of Assembly come
I'm optimistic.
You don't
it's
sound
good to be positive. It's good to be positive.
Regina is calling in from Bagada. Good morning, Regina. Hello, are you there? Hello, Regina, are you there?
Hello, I'm here.
Good morning. Good morning.
I'm jumping for the first time. I've been trying to get into TVC. I've only succeeded today.
Oh, we're so excited about it.
Generally, on the election, minimum wage problems, and all those who are coming into government, they have all failed Nigerians. Believe you me, because I, for a human being, I as a person, I work as a confidential secretary in many organizations, and the management of any organization is very, very vital. You have to be efficient. You have to be able to plan and execute your plans. But unfortunately, it's like all these leaders today, they are not working well at all. They don't have plans for the people, even for themselves. Because if I have a plan for myself, I will do so well for those around me. They should be happy before I think of my own happiness. This, our government, the rulers, they are so funny. I don't know what they are doing. Now, in the first place, couldn't the National Assembly members and the House of Reps cut down their own salaries? As they cut down their own, I don't know how much they earn, but people say they earn millions, 30 million per month, and that is ridiculous. Even Labour, they have not fought their fight very well. Labour should first of all fight that these people should put down, let them cut down their own salaries.
It's all right, Regina.
Buhari, when he came in, he cut down his own salary. I remember he said it was 16 million. He came down to 11 million.
Thank you very much for your contribution, Regina. We have to go now. I'm just going to give you 30 minutes to talk to your constituents why they should consider you at the ballot.
I'm using this moment to appeal and to solicit for their vote. And I can assure you that, as you can see, I've highlighted all the programs, both constituency programs, as well as the agenda for the Lagosian as well. I've highlighted everything on my posters. And I can assure you, you are going to enjoy the dividends of democracy. And I have 10-point agenda for my constituency, and I have 2 solid points or bills that I'm going to push at the floor of the House. So I can assure you I will never disappoint you. It is time to enjoy the dividends of democracy.
You're not going to, move 2 bills in 4 years, are you?
2 bills in
4 years, because you said just 2 bills.
No, I said at the moment, at the moment, too. Yeah.
Dr. Afeez Ladi Lawal is the AAC candidate for the Lagos State House of Assembly, Eti-Osa 2 constituency. Thank you for coming on the
Thank you
program.
so much for having me.
He is promised to declare a salary if he becomes a lawmaker, but he has chosen not to tell us how much he's worth currently.
No.
But we'll just keep it at that.
Like I said earlier on, when the time comes,
you will do
definitely
that.
I will come out publicly and I will announce it.
And that's our show today. Thanks for being a part of it. We'll be back tomorrow, God willing, with another exciting one. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. God bless Nigeria.